What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And quickly today, I just wanted to talk about how to create a buyer. What are the key components of creating a buyer? Put simply, I'm going to cover that in this video. Today's training is a clip that I did with our clients a little while ago from our Essential Sales program, in the program where we help them go from 10 to 20% closing rates on their sales calls to 40 to 60% plus, and help them build out an irresistible high ticket offer that they can sell easily and be just a complete no-brainer for their prospects on the calls. Now, if you're an agency owner, if you're a coach, if you're a service provider of any kind, and you want to be able to master your sales calls, you want to be able to close at 50% plus, and you want to really dial in your messaging, feel free to click the link down below of this video. See if you can book a one-on-one call with me. We can chat, have a little conversation, see if we'd be a good fit for each other to work one-on-one together. Other than that, we can jump right into the training. Real quick clip, just breaking down how to create a buyer. What is a buyer? Put as simply as possible. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you in the training.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good, good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. I do have a specific topic planned. I'm waiting for a few more people to join, but I always like to ask at the beginning, is there anything in particular that you wanted to go over?
I'm just starting with sales calls as such. I've just had like 2-3 sales calls right now. So maybe if you're doing something on that, on those grounds.
Today, if there's enough time, I wanted to kind of cover 3 things that play off of what we talked about on the last call, with the first one being creating a buyer, the second one being effective listening, and then the third being bullet theory. Have you guys ever heard of bullet theory?
Nope.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to go over those 3 things. If there's enough time, we might not make it to bullet theory, but it's a very quick one. But starting off essentially with creating a buyer, I want to hear from you guys. How would you create a buyer? How would you make someone want to buy something?
Tell them what happens if they don't buy.
Okay. What is a buyer?
Someone who needs your product and is willing to give up the money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Who has a pain that needs to be solved.
Mm-hmm. The main ones is someone with a need or a want. Absolutely. They have to be a decision maker. They can't just want it or need it. They got to be the one that makes the decision on those things. They also got to be excited about the purchase, right? The worst is when you get someone that's like kind of on the fence and like, I guess, okay, I'll get it, right? Those are always the worst clients. Those are always the worst customers. So someone that's excited about the purchase, someone with a need or a want, or both, and someone that's the decision maker. That's how you define a buyer at the end of the day. Now, in your guys' opinion, why would a buyer not buy? If someone has all of those characteristics, if they're excited about the purchase, they know they need, they know they have a need, they really want it, and they are the decision maker, why would they not buy?
They didn't trust us.
That's one reason, yeah.
I was gonna say they don't think it's gonna work, but I don't know if they'd be excited about it if they don't think it's gonna work.
Mm-hmm. If they don't think it's gonna work, you got a whole other problem on your hands. They're just not trusting your specific strategy on what the problem is. But why a buyer wouldn't buy generally is, one, if they're overwhelmed with information or choices, right? If they wouldn't buy, and when I say wouldn't buy, I mean is not making the decision right then and there with you. One would be overwhelmed with too much information and too much choices, which this is, and the reason why I say this one is because salesmen make this mistake all the time. They think they have to give all the info, as much info as possible. They think they got to overload the customer with options. And, for example, if you came to a store and you wanted to buy a black t-shirt, most salesmen would think the best thing I could do is show him the 30 best black t-shirts. It's like, no, the best thing you could do is show him 2 good shirts, right? So overwhelmed with info or choices. Secondly, doesn't fully understand the product or service, right? They don't really understand what you're trying to give them. Let's use Jeremy, for example. He's doing kind of, confidence dating coaching, right? You're coaching someone on how to, be more confident, how to, be able to talk to a woman, and so on and so forth. Now, that could be easily misconstrued like, well, what are you actually teaching me? Right? What am I learning here? Right? If I just said, hey, I'm going to give you dating coaching, and you don't really expand more into that, you don't really give them analogies to their understanding, it can be very difficult for them to pick up on what you're actually offering. Right? So you want to be very, very clear what the product is, what the service is, and what the deliverables are of that. So then they completely understand what you're actually selling. And another one is kind of like what we talked about on the first call. If the service has a cost higher than the customer's value of that product or service, right? Now, notice that I said the customer's value of the product, not yours, not the value of the product, not your value of the product, but the customer's value of the product. Because if the customer doesn't see value in it, it doesn't matter how much value you put on it, or it doesn't matter how much value anyone puts on it. At the end of the day, it's the customer's value. It's what they see it valuable as. And that's probably why they didn't buy from you, Vineeth, is because you know it's valuable, you know it's worth the price, but they didn't see that it was worth that price. They didn't think it was worth that price in their mind, right? In the first call, we talked about all how to make them see the worth of your product. So again, I'll get you that recording. So those are the 3 reasons why a buyer wouldn't buy. So using pretty much the opposite of that, how do we create a buyer, right? One, obviously, don't overwhelm them with product knowledge, right? They don't need to know. For example, if I do for my agency, we build funnels. Now, if I sat there trying to explain everything we look for and the intricacies of how we build a funnel and how we launch ads and how to optimize ads and, you know, how to split test emails, if I tried to explain all what we're going to actually do for them on the sales call, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to be like, whoa, that's just too much. It would be a 3-hour call because I'd be explaining how we split test your emails for you. This is what we're going to do. We're going to warm up your email inbox. I'm not going to explain all that. It's too much. We're overwhelming them. So how to create a buyer? 1, don't overwhelm them with product knowledge. 2, this is the most important one. If you don't remember anything from what I just said, remember this: determine their level of understanding. Determine their level of understanding. Now, the reason why that's so important is because I can, for example, if I went to someone who had no idea about marketing and they were like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a campaign architecture specialist. They'd be like, what? Well, you're a what? Right? Which just means that you know how to put campaigns together and, you know, map campaigns and map the life cycle of a client from cold to purchase, right? But the average person would be like, what the heck is a campaign architecture specialist? What is that? Right? So if I say that to them, that word now loses all meaning because they don't know what that is, right? So you have to be careful when you're presenting your product. You should be actually presenting at like a 3rd grade level when it comes to the words you use, not the way you say it, but the words you use should be something that a 3rd grader could understand. Because if it's not, and you're speaking to someone, it'll come off sometimes as pretentious. They'll think you think very highly of yourself if you're using all these big fancy words. You just notice that with people. 2, they won't understand what you're saying, so they won't really get the full effect of the value you're trying to portray. So you have to be able to demonstrate your product only to their level of understanding and not go too far and start confusing them. So if I've gotten on sales calls where, like I said, we do funnels, ads, email marketing. I've gotten on sales calls with entrepreneurs that have been running their own ads for 4 years. Right? So they're hopping on the call. We're talking about ROAS. We're talking about ROI. We're talking about, ad spend. We're talking about split testing. We're talking about all these, we're talking about CBO scale tests. We're talking about all these complicated things that pertain to Facebook ads, and they understand it. I understand it. It's a great conversation. Boom. But if I were to take that same conversation and have it with an entrepreneur or a business owner that is coming from only doing in-person sales and has never brought their business online and has never touched Facebook and has never touched the Facebook ad platform, I can't hop on there and be like, yeah, so when we're CBO scale testing, blah, 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 they're going to say, whoa, again, I don't understand what you're saying, right? You need to make sure that you break it down to their level of understanding and assess their level of understanding. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Any questions on that?
But would that apply also to if I'm making posts on Facebook? Would that also apply? Talk in a 3rd grader way, which I think makes sense.
It depends who you want to reach. It depends. If you're putting out an ad and you only want to reach experts in that community, the best of the best in that community, you're going to talk at a higher level. You're going to put your wordings, your messaging is going to be higher level messaging, because the people that understand that messaging are going to be the ones that see it, pick it up, and respond to it. If you're trying to go for a broad audience, if you're trying to get a ton of people, that's when you want to be more broad. You want to be more third grade level. You want to be lower in in the dialogue that you use. It really just depends on who you're going after. For example, if I have one client who goes for doctors, acupuncture specialists, chiropractors, they're using words like patients instead of clients, right? It's all about who you're going after, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so just make sure they fully understand what they're getting up to their level of knowledge, and only up to their level of knowledge. Because when you start to go above their knowledge, and this is where trust is a huge, huge thing, because sometimes it is okay to go a little bit above their knowledge because you want them to think you're smarter than them. But if the trust and rapport isn't there and you're using these big words that they don't understand, they're going to be like, okay, I need to confirm this with someone else. This is when you're going to get them to say, oh, I need to go talk to someone. I need to think about it, because they want to go confirm it. Let's say they have a buddy. Let's say, again, we'll use the digital marketing example. We're in digital marketing. I give them all these digital marketing fancy terms of what we're going to do for them. They have a buddy that works in digital marketing, and they are going to be like, wait, hold on, I got to go confirm it with my friend or talk to my wife. And then they're going to go talk to their buddy and be like, hey, he said all this. He said he's going to do this. Is this good? Is this worth that price? And that's because you're speaking above their pay grade, above their knowledge, right? So you want to make sure that we stay within there. And if they're confident that you're providing something that, you know, will actually help them, they will buy, right? They have to be confident in that.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Make sure they understand the cost versus the value of what they already have or they're already doing as well. That's a huge, huge one. Last time we talked about the cost of the problem versus the cost of your solution. Right now, I want to talk about what they're already doing and the cost of that as well. Right now, this mostly pertains for people that are selling something where it's something that people already have. So like, let's say you're trying to switch someone's phone plan to a new phone plan. Everyone already has a phone, or they already have a car. You're trying to convince them to get a new car. You have to show them what they're doing and why what they're doing could be costing them more than your solution would cost them in the long run. Just a little recap for Vineeth here. I know we talked mostly about that in the last call. Just 3 simple points, just to keep it real simple, because I know I said a lot and I go on sometimes. Don't overwhelm with info or choices. Determine their level of understanding, and make sure they have a higher value proposition to what you're charging, or they have a higher value perception to what you're charging. You get those 3 things, and then on top of that, you have someone that has a need or a want, they're a decision maker, and they're excited about making a purchase, excited about getting their problem solved. That's when you have a buyer created, and it just gets really, really simple from there. Now, in order to do these things, and this is why I said this call was going to play off of what we talked about last time, in order to actually ask the proper questions to build the value in your product, you have to listen effectively. You have to be a very, very good listener. That's the number one. Everyone thinks being a good talker, you know, having the best close techniques. No, you have to be an amazing listener. And when I say amazing listener, it's more than just about hearing what they say. It's about showing them that you hear what they say. That's the most important part. And that is where I will end off the clip for this YouTube video. Don't want it to go on too long. The training as a whole was about an hour long. We have 1 hour a week calls with our clients in the community. So that video would have been so much longer. We got into a lot more topics, but I hope you guys did get some value from that short clip. I hope you guys did enjoy. As always, if you did enjoy, leave a like on this video. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, if there's anything else you want me to cover on here. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.